Hi everybody, Random Reviews here, and today I'm reviewing Feeling Sorry for Celia by Jaclyn Moriarty. This is the first book in the Ashbury Brookfield series. It was originally published in 2000. This edition, put out by St. Martin's Press, is 276 pages long. The setting of the story takes place fully in Australia, which is pretty cool. I've never been to Australia, but I'd love to go. And the main character is Elizabeth Clary. Now, Elizabeth Clary is probably your average high school student. She goes to school, she has friends, her parents are divorced, and she's training to go in a marathon. The entire story actually takes place in letters, in postcards, in post-it notes, and that's really cool. I really enjoyed it. The author didn't date any of the letters, any of the postcards, anything like that, which usually you would think, okay, usually you would. But the author really didn't need to date any of the letters. She did a really good job keeping a really good timeline so that you could kind of follow where the story was going, when it was taking place, things like that. You didn't really need to know a specific day. The basic synopsis of the story is, the story opens where Celia Buckley, Elizabeth Clary's best friend, has actually run away from home, and this is a usual occurrence in the Buckley family, I guess. And you follow Elizabeth Clary as she has to handle situations by herself, and she also ends up meeting new people. Her English teacher, I believe it's the English teacher, decides that he wants to rekindle the joy of the envelope. So he wants them to write letters to another neighboring private school. Elizabeth Clary goes to Ashbury private school, and where she's writing the letters to another student at Brookfield private school. So she ends up making a new friend through writing these letters, and the other person writing back to her actually finds out more information and knows Elizabeth so much more than anybody else that she knows, even Celia Buckley. And you also do get the two different sides. You have Elizabeth's friendship with Celia compared to Elizabeth's friendship with this complete and utter stranger who goes to another school. The other thing that ends up happening is Elizabeth's father moves from Canada back to Australia. He will be working in Australia for a year, so he wants to rekindle the father-daughter relationship that has really been neglected over the years. So I'm not going to give you any more information other than that, because if that interests you, I'd love for you to pick up the book. I think you'd really enjoy it. There's actually 4 books in the series, but I don't think they follow the same characters in all 4 books. They might follow different ones. I'm not too sure. But the author did a really good job with having Elizabeth's entire story take place in one book, and she really did a really good job of finishing the book. She hasn't written it in chapters. She's actually written it in parts, which is really cool because the parts are basically chapters, but there is actually 12 parts to the book. I really enjoyed the characters. You really do see a growth and a development in Elizabeth Clary from the beginning to the end of the book. You also see the immaturity of Celia Buckley, and you also do get to see 2 different friendships with the same girl, how they started, how they grew, and basically the directions that they went in. The main thing in the story is you get to see Elizabeth grow up. You get to see her become stronger. And there were times when I laughed right out loud reading this book. And there's one scene in the book that I remember so clearly, and it is a very emotional scene in the book. And I really do feel that this is one book that if you are in your bookstore, don't pass up the opportunity to buy it. When I first saw the cover for this edition, I thought it was very boring. There's a girl up here on a tightrope, and there's a broken M&M down here. And I really thought, oh my word, this is really boring, plain cover. But after I finished reading the book, I fell in love with this cover. I think this cover says so much for the story that it really goes well with the story. They actually fit in very well in certain points of the story. So that is my review of this book. And one other thing I almost forgot. One thing I thought was hilarious in the book is you know how when you get emails, you have a spam box or a junk box where all these, like, really weird stuff that you don't want to be getting goes? She kind of gets the same thing. She gets letters through just random societies, random associations, such as the Society of Amateur Detectives, the Society of High School Runners who aren't very good at long distance running but would be if they had just trained, Best Friends Club, the Memory Trigger Club, the Secret and Mysterious Association of All That Is Secret and Mysterious. Just really fun stuff like that, and those were really fun to read. They were kind of funny, and there were a couple times when you read them and you're like, you are so annoying. But they were really fun to read. I really enjoyed this book. I actually really sped through this. I actually read it in 2 days. I couldn't put it down. I read it over the weekend, and it was so good. So that is my review, and if any of you guys have read it, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you thought of the book. And if you are interested in reading it now, let me know. I would love to hear after you've read it what you thought of it. So go and pick up a random book and read. Bye, guys.